to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Alma Angeles and we're live in Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, Australia, the US, and many more. All right, first let's start in California. Cases of the COVID-19 there spiked to 18,000, but experts are saying that the curve is now flattening due to the aggressive actions of the state. Don Orozco reports from our Silicon Valley Bureau. Don?
Good afternoon, Alma, and
good evening
to everyone out there. So just want you to give you an idea, the US cases, for US cases, there is now a total of 401,166. And 12,936. So that is the latest number when it comes to the actual number on U.S. cases. And then today I was actually able to go around the area of San Jose, Fremont, Milpitas area, and just checking out how effective it is on the lockdown. And right now, there's if we could only just show the video, you'll notice that there's a handful of cars already outside. The American public has been eager to go out to really come up and make some money. So I went to some Filipino stores, and most of which are open, and most of which are hiring. So that's the good side of it, And as you know, Alma, President Trump has been really considering to reopen the U.S. as soon as possible, also so that it could actually prime up the economy. Kasi it has go to a standstill currently.
Okay,
and
Don,
just to give you an idea, Alma, there's 9 governors have refused. Of the 50 states, 9 have refused to mandate people to stay at home,
Yes,
and
that's
some of them are
North
in
Dakota.
North Dakota,
Yeah.
in Nebraska, in Iowa,
Arkansas.
Yeah.
They're the only
So
states that no one is under a
uh,
stay-at-home order. Why is that, Don?
Well, it's just that there's nothing really going on in their states. They do not believe that there is a need to do that. As a matter of fact, it's a case-to-case basis. Like for example, in Maryland today, there are 326 cases Tuesday, and then today, Wednesday, it ballooned to 1,158. Can you just imagine there was a spike of another 800 plus. And then from 12 deaths, Tuesday, it has increased to 21. And that is just for a day.
That's why
If we go naman,
that's why the lack of action from these governors from the 9 states, as you mentioned, even as they take other steps such as closing schools, limiting the size of gatherings, it has frustrated some health experts and left some residents, even us here, puzzled. Why?
You're right, Alma. It's just that it's a concern because, again, just like what the Philippine president did and what California did really is the shelter in place, the lockdown, and stay home and stay safe. It's really is the best and the most effective way to stop this virus. That's why there's frustration from other sectors of society simply because they just want to make sure that this has to stop already. That's why a while ago there's a press conference already that they are already entertaining some states to reopen. But so far, right now, here in the US, no one has actually stopped or ceased in doing the lockdown, you know. And then, on a good note, yesterday I reported about the Filipinos, no, yung uh, mga tripulante, those who are crew members of the cruise ship that docks here in the US. Yesterday, there were about 114 that was chartered back to the Philippines. Today, according to Consul General Adel Cruz, there were 172. And those are crew members coming from 5 Carnival cruise ships that came from the US. And currently, according to the Philippine Embassy, there are 569 Filipinos who have tested positive and 65 deaths already. And before I go, I just wanted to let everyone know that in LA and in San Francisco, if do you have plans of processing any paperwork, LA and San Francisco consulates are closed since middle of March. Simply because it's a complete lockdown. You'll be surprised, even in Hollywood Boulevard, it's practically empty. It used to be very, very busy. San Francisco, you know, it's always busy. But because of the lockdown and all the things that's happening on COVID-19, they've decided to really completely close and shut down the consulate offices there. And that's probably the latest here in not just Silicon Valley, but the entire US, ano? And I will be back for more, and just stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Okay.
This is Don Orozco reporting live from Silicon Valley in San Jose, and we live in interesting times.
Take care, Don. Over in Vietnam, Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc attended a virtual conference of health ministers of the World Health Organization Western Pacific region. And then in a message he sent to the Stand-in Solidarity to Combat COVID-19 conference, the Prime Minister underlined Vietnam's motto of fight epidemics as if fighting the enemy. We have more from our EBC Vietnam Bureau's Chriselle Lacuna. Chriselle? Hello,
Hi,
Chriselle.
Alma. Yes. Hi, Alma. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chriselle.
Okay.
Okay.
So here's the latest from Vietnam. 2 more new COVID-19 cases were spread in the community, including 251 patients nationwide. So early morning, April 8, the Ministry of Health announced 2 new cases of COVID-19, bringing the total number of patients in Vietnam to 251. Remarkably, both patients were spread in the community and one was not. Clearly contagious source with complex epidemiological factors. So one is a 50-year-old Vietnamese woman, and the other one is a 64-year-old male. Because patient 51, or the 64-year-old male, has many complex epidemiological factors. He is a serious patient. The source of infection is unknown. He has a long stay in the hospital already, and so the doctors are monitoring closely to him, Alma. Okay, so up to now, Vietnam has confirmed 251 COVID-19 patients, with 126 having recovered, according to Ministry of Health figures. No fatality in association with the disease has been reported in the country to date. Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City make up more than half of the total cases. The country has carried out 106 tests while quarantining more than 74,600 people who returned from regions hit by the epidemic or had close contact with infected patients. In line with this, Alma, Vietnam is still undecided about extension of social distancing duration, according from the government office. Vietnam has yet to decide whether to continue enforcing social distancing after it expires in the middle of this month, despite the measure having helped slow the infection rate of novel coronavirus disease, according to the government office. As we all know, the country started practicing enhanced social distancing on April 1 that will linger until the end of April 15. Following a directive given by Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc. The government will consider either relaxing the measures or keeping them after this date, depending on the development of the COVID-19 pandemic. He said, we cannot stop the implementation of the directive if new infection clusters emerge on April 15. So now we cannot foretell whether we will extend the social distancing duration. He also stressed, although we still don't need to declare a public health emergency, martial law, or national lockdown, proper social distancing will prevent widespread community transmission and cross-infection, he explained. Vietnam Prime Minister tells Western Pacific Region Health Conference, concerted efforts will help beat COVID-19. Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc has told the virtual conference of health ministers of the World Health Organization, Western Pacific region, that the world will triumph over novel coronavirus disease with concerted efforts. In a message sent to the Stand in Solidarity to Combat COVID-19 conference on Wednesday, Prime Minister Phuc underlined Vietnam's motto of fight the epidemic as if fighting the enemy. So he also said that Vietnam is willing to sacrifice economic interests to safeguard the lives and well-being of its citizens. Immediate actions have been taken to help people facing hardship, particularly the vulnerable, poor, and workers, making sure that no one is left behind. The Southeast Asian country has kept the situation under good control. He extended thanks to the international community and the people around the world for the support and assistance to Vietnam. So in line with this, Elma, Vietnam offers goods to prevent European countries COVID-19, including 550,000 antibacterial anti-drop cloth masks. Deputy Foreign Minister To An Dung awarded the symbolic number of COVID-19 support products to from Vietnam to France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and United Kingdom, those that are badly affected by the disease. The amount of gifts included 550,000, or about 500,000, antibacterial and anti-drop cloth masks manufactured by Vietnam. The ambassadors highly appreciate the help of Vietnam, although it is also suffering heavily, but they are ready to share resources and support citizens of other countries in Vietnam, including the treatment of those who have tested positive for coronavirus. Countries will work closely with Vietnam to combat epidemics and maintain cooperation, trade, information, and support to overcome the difficulties. Alma?
Yes. Okay, also Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen Phuc suspended fish exports to stabilize the domestic supply in the face of the pandemic. And this decision comes with a ban on exports of rice. Can you tell me more about this?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the export of?
The export, Cambodian PM suspended the fish exports to stabilize the domestic supply in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic. And this decision comes with a ban on exports of rice. Is this still true?
So far, Vietnam has always maintaining its good relationships, especially with the ASEAN countries. So I think it keeps getting on. But we still maintain that way, Ama.
So you're still exporting. He didn't really ban it.
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chriselle. And I know you have work to do, but thank you so much for your time. Keep safe and stay healthy.
Thank you. Reporting from Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, this is Chriselle Yacuna. We live in interesting times.
Okay. Over in Cambodia, Prime Minister Hun Sen and other senior government officials have decided to donate their salaries to combat COVID-19. Joining us live is Crystal Ann Ballesteros. How are you, Crystal?
Hi, Alma. Good
Hi.
afternoon, and to all viewers around the world.
Last time we spoke, the Prime Minister said that it is not yet the right time for Cambodia to declare a state of emergency and also no New Year celebrations for now. Now, what do you have for us now?
Well, as of now, there is no lockdown, and the Kamai New Year celebration is cancelled. So, because the Prime Minister thinks that workplace is the safe place for now. Well, meanwhile, let's have a closer look on the positive side happening in Cambodia amidst COVID-19 outbreak. Angkor Wat renovation is non-stop despite virus threat. A team from the Apsara National Authority Department of Conservation for the Angkor Wat Archaeological Park and Archaeology Defense is continuing to design and repair infrastructure, street systems, parks, drainage systems, walkways, and renovating temples in Angkor Wat to make the famous landmark even more attractive to tourists. Apsara National Authority spokesman Long Kusal told the Post on Monday that there is a lot of work that ANA authorities are currently doing, such as enhancing the beauty of the temples and their green spaces and repairing and renovating the general infrastructure of the Angkor temples. He added that they are doing a lot of work in these areas, also working on improving the water release systems in front of Angkor Wat, planting trees, grass, and preparing water system in the complex for green and dry months. Despite the challenges with COVID-19, they have turned it into an opportunity to do better work, so when the pandemic slows down, they will be able to organize the conservation work of Angkor Wat even more. Meanwhile, Cambodia Airways vows to expand despite upheaval of global industry. Cambodia Airways Co. Ltd. has committed to expanding its business by connecting the kingdom to other parts of the world once the COVID-19 pandemic comes to an end. Chairman Chen Bo said this on Tuesday in a meeting with State Secretariat of Civil Aviation Secretary of State Mao Honaval. Chen said the ongoing health crisis has dealt a crushing blow to aviation industry, with many airlines opting to halt operations. Cambodia Airways remains the sole airline transporting cargo. He also added that he do hope that COVID-19 will be finished soon. Cambodia Airways will further expand its businesses and investments to contribute to the development of Cambodia. Hannibal said Cambodia-China relations are very good and the two leaders of the countries are very close. China's leaders continue to bring more investors to Cambodia and capital to Cambodia Airways. They estimated $29.3 billion loss of global revenue, representing a 4.7% hit to global demand, it said in a press release in February. The forecast would translate into a $27.8 billion revenue loss in 2020 for carriers in the Asia-Pacific region, the bulk of which would be borne by carriers registered in China, with $12.8 billion lost in the China domestic market alone. While Hun Sen, ministers, officials donate salaries in virus fight. Prime Minister Hun Sen and other senior government officials have decided to donate their salaries to the National Committee for Combating COVID-19 in support of the ongoing battle against the coronavirus. Prime Minister Hun Sen and other senior government officials have decided to donate their salaries to the National Committee for Combating COVID-19 in support of the ongoing battle against the coronavirus. Hun Sen announced in an April 1 letter that because the COVID-19 situation in Cambodia has not yet diminished, he would express his sympathy by donating his 10 million reals or $2,500 monthly salary for 7 months from March to September. Minister of National Defense Thea Ban, Minister of Land Management, Urban Planning and Construction Chea Supara, Minister of Commerce Pan Sorasak, and Royal Cambodian Armed Forces Commander-in-Chief Bong Pisen also agreed to donate their salaries, which total of 5 million reals per month. Other ministers have also announced that they will donate salaries for between 4 and 6 months. The Ministry of Environment said 36 of its officials will donate their salaries from 1 to 6 months. Ban told the Post on Thursday that the donation of government official salaries was to express solidarity and the fight against COVID-19. The capital created by the donated salaries will be used in the medical sector as well as to treat people infected with COVID-19. Alma?
Thank you very much, Crystal. I think I asked the question to Chriselle earlier for Vietnam. My question for Cambodia. The Cambodian Prime Minister suspended fish exports to stabilize domestic supply in the face of COVID-19 pandemic. And this decision comes also with the ban on exports of rice. Can you tell me more about this?
Yes, Alma. Prime Minister Hun Sen believes that farm more to balance crisis. As you mentioned earlier, rice and fish exports are temporarily suspended to support domestic supply here in Cambodia. Prime Minister called on the people to boost farming, grow vegetables and other crops, raise animals and fish to supply the domestic market during these tough times. He thinks that people are capable of the additional production and that the tourism and garment sectors have been impacted, but that should not affect the agricultural sector.
All right. Thank you so much, Crystal, for your updates, and we'll be hearing more from you. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you, Alma. I am Crystal Ann Ballesteros for Cambodia Live News and Updates. We live in interesting times.
To Thailand now, in Pattaya City. The city will be locked down to outsiders this Thursday afternoon following a rise in new coronavirus infections. Joining us live is Esther Odanga. Hello, Esther.
Hello, good afternoon, Alma, and to our viewers all around the world. Okay, so the update now in Pattaya, Thailand. It is a reminder to everyone in the city that today, starting 2 p.m., the non-resort city, Pattaya, will commence a 24-hour lockdown of the city's borders. Who are not residents of Pattaya or not working there will not be allowed to access the area for 21 days or until the situation improves. The city has the most number of infections in Chonburi province with 25 infected people. Multiple checkpoints has been set up to prevent people outside coming in unless they have specific exemptions. Exemptions include ambulance, medical supplies, officials, and food supplies. Those who are not exempted in the lockdown announcement but find it necessary to travel must seek permission to the district offices first. People living inside Pattaya will still be able to move around during the day, but have to adhere to the current national curfew at night from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. The district chief, Amnar Charansi, says that many of the confirmed cases in Pattaya are foreigners. He said in a statement, and I quote, "Most of the cases are imported. We have to control the spread of the coronavirus, and this is a difficult measure, but we must stop people, especially foreign tourists coming into the city this time." Unquote. Checkpoints will strictly screen vehicles and people. Foreigners will need to have their original passports, and Thais will need to have their national ID card. Temperature checks will take place in every checkpoint. If anyone tests high, they'll have to go to the hospital immediately. People are also required to wear face masks when in public. Alma?
All right, thank you very much for that. How does Pattaya City look now?
Oh. Okay, so since the residents of Pattaya City still can go around the city in the morning, when they have important errands, they can still go outside. But the mayor encouraged everyone to stay home if they will not be doing anything important outside.
What about supplies? Are you all right with your supplies? Groceries, supermarkets?
Yes, the supplies are enough, and also the Pattaya City government, in cooperation with the private sectors, will are preparing to give another batch of food and supplies to the residents of Pattaya who are infected by the COVID-19 crisis. Last Monday, they already gave to 1,800 residents supplies from the local government, and those residents' main income comes from the tourism. So the government really have to take action and give assistance to them.
What about our Filipino community over there? How are they, and how are they helping each other or boosting their spirits up through this crisis?
Okay, so most of the Filipinos here in Pattaya are teachers and engineers. Most of them work from home, so their monthly salary, their company still give them the monthly salary. They just cheer each other up, and of course, they remind each other to stay home and be healthy.
All right, thank you so much, Esther, for your updates, and keep the updates coming. We'll be hearing from you soon.
Okay, thank you. And reporting live from Pattaya, Thailand, this is Esther Odanga. We live in interesting times.
ASEAN in Focus, we'll be right back.
Alamin ang mga dapat at hindi dapat gawin ngayong panahon ng Enhanced Community Quarantine dahil sa banta ng COVID-19. Ano-ano ang mga dapat tandaan ng mga empleyado at employer sa panahong ito? Hinihikayat ang mga employer na maglatag ng work-from-home arrangement para sa kanilang mga empleyado. Kailangan din silang magbigay ng tulong pinansyal sa kanilang mga empleyado o magbigay ng prorated 13th month pay kung maaari. Magbibigay ang DSWD at DOLE ng karagdagang tulong sa mga empleyadong apektado sa pagtigil ng trabaho. Hindi dapat obligahin ng negosyante ang kanilang mga empleyado na pumasok. Liban na lang kung ang kumpanya ay nagbibigay ng pangunahing serbisyo o pangangailangan. At hindi rin dapat tanggalin ng may-ari ang kanyang empleyado kung hindi makakapasok sa panahong ito. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to!
All right, staying in Thailand, the country granted automatic visa extensions for foreigners. Joining us live is Cristel Mapa. Cristel?
Hi, Alma. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Cristel. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay. What are your updates for us, Cristel?
Yes, Alma, that's a very important update that we have right now here in Thailand. That is the approval of the visa amnesty for foreigners. Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha has signed the visa amnesty for foreigners who's holding any kinds of visa as of the moment. Here's a brief description of the amnesty that is effective immediately. If a foreigner's extension of stay expires on 26th of March or later, he or she can now automatically stay in Thailand until 30th of April. This is for all types of visas. The same goes for 90 days reporting. There's no need to go to immigration until 30th of April. There are no overstay fines to be paid for this kind of group. However, Alma, if a foreigner's extension of stay expired before 26th of March, he or she must pay the overstay fine first before he or she can get the extension of to until 30th of April. If the emergency decree is extended, then everyone can get an automatic extension up to 30th of May. They don't need to do anything and they don't need to go to the immigration. Also, we have another update here in Thailand. There are 3 major companies in Thailand are joining hands to support Thai people suspected of being infected with the COVID-19 virus. AIA Thailand, in collaboration with True Digital Group and Samitivej Hospital, has launched a virtual COVID-19 clinic. It is a special teleconsultation service tailored to those with symptoms or who are at high risk of COVID-19. Risk categories include those traveling back from high-risk countries or having contact with high-risk people. The consultation service is free of charge and available all day, every day. Mr. Ekaraj Panyavitin, the managing director for digital solutions of True Digital Group said, and I quote, "This teleconsultation service is open to people who have symptoms or who are at high risk of COVID-19. They can access the service themselves from home, so they don't need to visit hospital unnecessarily. As such, the service is in alignment with the government's stay home and stop the spread of the virus for the sake of the nation's directive. Meanwhile, if the online doctor prescribes medication, Samitivej Hospital will make up the prescription at 20% discount and deliver it for free. Virtual COVID-19 clinic is open since yesterday until 10th of May for those with symptoms or are at high risk of COVID-19. The free service can be accessed through www.smtvj.com. The service is just for online consultation. This excludes the COVID-19 test fee. And for the last update here in Thailand, more measures to help SMEs and corporate bond market affected by COVID-19. The Bank of Thailand has announced a package of additional relief measures to support small and medium-sized enterprises affected by the COVID-19 outbreak and stabilize the corporate bond market. The announcement was made on the 7th of April by Governor of the Bank of Thailand, Veritai Santiprabop, who stated that the intensified and longer than anticipated outbreak necessitates additional relief measures to support SMEs, which are the backbone of the Thai economy and a primary source of employment, to have sufficient funding and liquidity to bridge through these testing times and retain their workforce. The package of additional relief measures consists of 4 major measures, such as follows. The first measure is a loan payment holiday of 6 months for all SMEs with a credit line not exceeding 100 million baht to provide the much-needed liquidity to the SMEs. The second measure are soft loans to support liquidity for SMEs with a credit line not exceeding 500 million baht, with a concessional interest rate of 2% per annum and interest free for the first 6 months. The third measure is the market liquidity enhancement to stabilize the corporate bond market. And the last but not the least, reducing the Financial Institutions Development Fund fee to ease the loan interest burden of businesses and households. The Bank of Thailand is confident that the relief measures that have been continuously implemented, starting from encouraging banks to engage in early debt restructuring measure and the debt payment holiday for retail customers, together with additional measures announced on 7th of April, will support affected businesses and households, stabilize the corporate bond market, and ensure the continued functioning and stability of the whole financial system. It also stands ready to take further steps as necessary. Alma?
All right. Thank you very much, Christelle, for that update. And we'll be seeing and hearing from you more. Stay healthy, stay safe.
You too, Alma. Reporting live here in Bangkok, Thailand, I'm Crystal Mapa. We live in interesting times.
Over in Vietnam, the two-day 36th ASEAN Summit scheduled for April 8 has been postponed. We have a report coming in live. Joining us live is Ralph Wandolph Empai from our EBC Bureau in Hanoi. Hello, Ralph.
Hi, Alma. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. Good to hear from you. What are your updates for us?
Right. Well, the Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc on March 20 wrote to leaders of ASEAN countries and New Zealand proposing the 36th ASEAN Summit and the ASEAN New Zealand Summit and other related meetings initially scheduled for April 8 to 9, which is yesterday and today, in Da Nang City, Vietnam, be postponed until the end of June. In his letter, the Prime Minister Phuc said Vietnam has basically completed organizational work for the events, but the postponement is necessary due to the COVID-19 pandemic spreading in the region and the world. The Vietnamese government leader expressed thanks to the countries for working together with Vietnam to promote the building of a cohesive and responsive ASEAN community. He said, with resolve and joint efforts, solidarity and mutual compassion, the ASEAN community will stand firm in the face of challenges, ensure a peaceful life for its people, and prosperous development of its member countries. Deputy Foreign Minister Nguyen Ngoc Zung handed over the Prime Minister's letter to the ambassadors of ASEAN countries and New Zealand at a meeting in Hanoi on Thursday. The Deputy Foreign Minister called on ASEAN countries to push ahead with efforts to maintain cooperation and connection and promote the spirit of a cohesive and responsive ASEAN community in the current difficult period under the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. He asked ASEAN member states to continue to coordinate closely to mitigate the pandemic's negative effects on the process of building the ASEAN community, as well as on socioeconomic situations in member countries. He informed the ambassadors on measures that Vietnam, as ASEAN chair this year, will actively promote in the future in order to keep the pace of ASEAN working plans and bolster cooperation in preventing and controlling the pandemic. Representatives from the Foreign Ministry's Consular Department informed the ASEAN embassies about Vietnam's measures to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. Ambassadors of ASEAN countries praised Vietnam's preparations for the events and its effective response to the pandemic. They expressed support of the decision of the ASEAN chair and pledged to continue working closely with Vietnam to prepare for the 36th ASEAN Summit. Now, Alma, on April 6th, which is 2 days ago, the Deputy Foreign Minister and head of the ASEAN Senior Officials Meeting, or SOM, Vietnam, Nguyen Ngoc Zung, held phone talks with acting Australian Deputy Foreign Minister and head of the SOM Australia on ASEAN and East Asia Summit, Justine Hayhurst, to discuss joint work via regional cooperation mechanisms amid the complicated developments of COVID-19. Zung expressed his wish to enhance close coordination to further deepen a strategic partnership and comprehensive cooperation between ASEAN and Australia. He emphasized that fighting COVID-19 is now the top priority of ASEAN, adding that in the capacity as ASEAN chair. Vietnam is actively promoting common efforts of the bloc and cooperation with partners in the fight against the pandemic. Speaking highly of Vietnam's role and efforts in its capacity as ASEAN chair 2020, Hayhurst said Australia will continue supporting and working closely with Vietnam to step up the anti-COVID-19 fight via regional cooperation mechanisms, including ASEAN-Australia cooperation and the EAS. The two officials agreed to maintain the Vietnam-Australia strategic partnership in various areas. Zoom thanked the Australian government for readying to offer technical support to Vietnam to mitigate socioeconomic impacts caused by COVID-19. He suggested the Australian authorities continue supporting Vietnamese citizens and students in current difficult times. Hayhurst, for his part, thanked the Vietnamese government for providing medical and consular support for Australian citizens and tourists affected by the epidemic. He affirmed that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade will work with the Education and Interior Ministries and authorities to have measures to support Vietnamese students in Australia. Alma?
All right. So is being the chair of ASEAN now, how is Vietnam leading this the ASEAN countries in the fight against COVID?
Can you repeat the question, Alma?
Yeah, being the chair of ASEAN now, how is Vietnam leading the fight against COVID? How is it leading the other ASEAN nations?
Well, I think Vietnam is monitoring closely with other ASEAN countries and holding multiple conferences with other ASEAN leaders as well.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Ralph, and we'll be hearing more from you. Oh, when will be the ASEAN summit be? Did they say after the postponement? Is it
Well,
June,
yeah, so it's
July?
going to be postponed until the end of June, yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Ralph, and we'll be hearing more
This is
from you.
Ralph. Yeah, reporting live from Hanoi, Vietnam. We live in interesting times.
All right, millions of face masks will be distributed to Malaysians. Meanwhile, health experts there are also calling for an extension of the MCO, the Movement Control Order, for at least another 2 weeks, or until the daily cases drop below 50. That report and more from our EBC correspondent, Ruby Tinawin. Ruby?
Hi. Good afternoon, Alma.
Good afternoon, Ruby.
I'm here to give you some updates of what's going on in Malaysia right now. So to start, as of yesterday, we have 4,119 confirmed COVID-19 cases, 65 deaths, 1,487 recovered, 2,567 are still under treatment. 76 of them are in ICU, while 45 on ventilator. So the government will begin distributing millions of face masks over the next few days. This is to help guard against COVID-19 virus. However, the distribution will be limited to 4 units for each household. So how are they going to do this? The Civil Defense Force are currently distributing about 24.6 million masks to National Security Council offices at state levels. Then it will be sent to Disaster Management Committee at the district level, and then only then will be distributed to the people. Now, as per the Health Ministry's recommendations here, only those with COVID-19 symptoms should be wearing masks. That was the message now from the Health Ministry. Now, the said mask will also be flown in other parts of Malaysia by the Royal Malaysian Air Force, and that is in Sabah, in Sarawak, and Labuan tomorrow. Now, because the current lockdown is supposed to be lifted on April 14, a group of medical professionals led by the Academy of Medicine Malaysia urged the government to extend the movement control order beyond phase 2. The reason being is this. As you know, the next big event here in Malaysia, a Muslim country, is Hari Raya, and that's expected to fall on May 24th. And also that will be followed by Hari Gawai and the Harvest Festival. And because of this, this group of people warned the mass exodus of people during the Hari Raya will pose a greater risk of spreading the virus beyond control, and that it was too soon to resume a state of normalcy with no cure or vaccine available as yet. So they said the spreading of the virus will be of great risk, because particularly to the elderly, in the case of balik kampong, or what they call everyone return to their village. When that happens, because people tend to meet in R&R stations, they tend to meet in restaurants and all that. So the social distancing, which is not, if not maintained, might actually create, a bigger impact. Thus, an outbreak will also will continue. Now, Malaysia is still seeing a rise in positive cases on a daily basis, and to date, as I mentioned earlier, there have been 4,119 positive COVID-19 cases. Now, most of the death is by the elderly with a history of medical problems. So they are concerned that a premature withdrawal or excessive relaxation of the restriction will potentially undo all the good that has been achieved by staying home these past 4 weeks. Now, the war against COVID-19 is far from over. That's what the people are thinking. Many sacrifices have and will continue to be made this year. Now, the Academy of Medicine of Malaysia, embracing 11 colleges and 15 chapters, is a registered body representing all the medical specialists in the country. There was a survey done by the Malaysian National News Agency, Bernama, which revealed that a large number of people who responded to the survey believe that an extension of the current movement order is necessary to contain COVID-19. So the survey, which ran across Bernama's social media platforms for 2 days, which started April 7, revealed that majority of respondents strongly agreed that the MCO should be extended beyond April 14. So as of today, there's about 26,300 votes, with 83% of respondents rooting for an extension. And while the lockdown is on, so with all the online scams, so the Bukit Aman Internal Security and Public Order Department Director Akril Sani Abdullah Sani said that all parties, including government agencies, must exercise caution when using free online video conferencing applications. He confirmed that the police had received a reminder letter concerning cyber threats. So he was commenting on a viral message on possible cyber attacks on government agencies that are currently carrying out tasks online due to the implementation of the movement control order. So he also confirmed that the police did not use the Zoom app for online video conferencing. As we know, Zoom is creating a news all over, stating the possible threat that it caused all its users. So now he advised the public to be careful about making online transactions, reminding people not to give any personal information to third parties to avoid being victims of fraud. If you can recall, way back 1st of April, the Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Amiruddin Shari has announced that the Ramadan bazaars in relation to the upcoming Ramadan will be cancelled throughout the state of Selangor and perhaps in the entire country because of COVID-19 pandemic. Now, in the state of Selangor, the Menteri Besar has announced, the Selangor state government announced that an online platform called the e-Bazaar Ramadan Selangor Grab will take the place of the traditional bazaars held during the annual Muslim fasting month. So in a statement today, the Menteri Besar said he received many complaints from traders after he made that announcement last 1st of April. So the state government has taken the initiative to build a new entrepreneur ecosystem with delivery company Grab Malaysia. So the digital platform, which is called e-Bazaar Ramadan Selangor Grab, will enable traders to generate income while giving the people of Selangor to enjoy delicacies to break their fast by ordering online. That's what he said. Now, they also identified 15 locations to serve as central kitchens. So how does it work? They will purchase online through the Grab application, and all the preparation of food must be in compliance with the regulations set by the Health Ministry. So the implementation is coordinated by the Menteri Besar Incorporated. So this will be a norm, as what he said, for the time being, while we are battling COVID-19 pandemic.
All right,
Alma?
Ruby, yes. Is it true that the Malaysia's indigenous people fled into the forests to escape the coronavirus?
Oh, there were rumors, but we are trying to get the details of that. There is this group of people, we call them Orang Asli. They actually stayed in remote places here, or what they call kampung, places. But normally NGOs are providing assistance to them. The government is providing assistance to them. We will give you updates on that soon, Alma.
Yes, okay. We'll be very interested on that. Okay, thank you so much, Ruby, for all that updates, and keep it coming. Keep safe, stay healthy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. From EBC Malaysia Bureau, this is Ruby Tinawin. We live in interesting times.
All right, to New Zealand now. It has so far, if my numbers are right, recorded only one death from the coronavirus. What they're doing, what can we learn from them? Joining us live today is Bea Borja to give us an update on the situation of the coronavirus in New Zealand. Bea.
Hello, Alma.
Hello, Bea.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Everything is great. About the updates from New Zealand, New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern announced that only 29 cases of COVID-19 were recorded today. This is the lowest number yet since the 23rd of March. This brings the total number of cases to 1,239, with no additional deaths recorded aside from the one that you previously mentioned. This development coincides with the start of the third week of Alert Level 4 lockdown. The Prime Minister thanked New Zealanders for their cooperation, saying, "What New Zealanders have done is huge. Kiwis have implemented a nationwide wall of defense. We are breaking the chain. We are turning a corner. Thank you to you and your bubble." School resumes next week for Term 2. The Ministry of Education developed a distant learning package to help learners across New Zealand. This will be done through different means, including the provision of handheld devices and hard packs. The Prime Minister and the Minister of Education assure parents that they would receive support in keeping their children learning at home. Despite this, Ardern emphasized that there would be no early movement out of Alert Level 4. Alma.
All right. Bea, one question before we go to our Canada Bureau. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, coronavirus response has been called a masterclass in crisis leadership. Please share with us your observations regarding her leadership.
Yes, Alma, it can certainly be called that, a master class in crisis leadership, given what New Zealand has achieved in 2 weeks. Even days before the country came under lockdown, she had laid down a clear plan and an alert level system. It minimizes any uncertainty on the part of the public and businesses about what to expect at every level of the alert system. She is also aggressively leading the country by strictly enforcing lockdown restrictions. She's managing the crisis hands-on. She updates the public daily on the crisis and addresses questions from the media herself. Kim Ardern is also focused on her goal of eliminating the virus from New Zealand and stamping out flare-ups where they arise. Probably the best thing about her leadership is that it involves and gives New Zealanders ownership of the progress in the fight against COVID-19. From the beginning, her slogan of "Stay home and save lives" made it clear that the participation of and cooperation of everyone is needed to achieve the goal of flattening the curve. And like today, she was very generous in crediting back what has been achieved to the efforts and sacrifices of New Zealanders. Her leadership style inspires confidence that, in turn, makes it easy for her to encourage everyone to stay the course and follow the plan. The Washington Post has even gone on to say that New Zealand will not just flatten the curve, but squash it. Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Bea. I wish we had more time. Thank you for your time. Keep the
Yeah.
updates coming. Keep safe.
Thank you, Alma. This is Bea Warha reporting live from Wellington City, New Zealand. We live in interesting times. Thank you.
All right. Joining us next is, are we going to Australia? Patricia Madronio is joining us from our EBC Australian Bureau. Patricia?
Hello, Alma. Thank you.
Hello, Patricia.
Today in Australia, while the number of COVID-19 cases continue to rise, the effect of the preventative measures put into place is also finally becoming apparent as the rate of infections begins to slow. Over 300,000 tests have been conducted across Australia, and the number of new confirmed cases per day has been steadily trending downwards from around 450 new confirmed cases a day to only about 120 a day this week. The collective effort of self-quarantining and minimizing the spread of the virus continues to be strictly issued by the Australian government, prohibiting social gatherings of more than 2 participants and allowing people to only leave their home for essential trips. These include medical checkups, buying food and groceries, exercising, and working for those in essential fields. Those who go against these implementations are being dubbed quarantine flouters and are being charged for leaving their homes unnecessarily and risking themselves and the public. Many families isolating in their homes have taken to reporting their neighbors who do not follow the quarantine measures. Across Australia, over 300 fines have been issued to people blatantly ignoring the 1.5-meter social distancing rules. Each Australian state has a different approach to mitigating the spread of COVID-19, and restrictions vary in each state. Some states have even tighter restrictions on reasons for leaving one's home, and some have even prohibited learner drivers from driving unless they are specifically heading to the supermarket. Additionally, the previous panic buying stage seems to have come to an end, with grocery stores now having essential items in stock regularly. However, there is now difficulty finding exercise equipment as many families have prepared for the isolation by setting up home gyms and workout spaces. Currently trending on social media, ways to pass time at home, Instagram get-to-know-me challenges, and recommendations for exercise and cooking, all in an effort to encourage people to stay in isolation and to keep the spirits high while reducing the spread of COVID-19. A free application called House Party, which enables its users to play card and trivia games through video call, has had a recent increase in popularity to being the 6th most downloaded app in several countries since early April this year. Also introduced is the use of video calling applications to work out with groups of friends, or for students to simply sit and work through their schoolwork together or to collaborate on projects, which mimics a class environment. Nature walks have also become popular, with families looking to take their children outside for some fresh air and exercise, all while maintaining social distance and preventing contact with other people. One could even say that while this pandemic has had many negative outcomes, the circumstances have brought families closer. Earlier complaints by younger generations were that they found that they had no hobbies other than going out with friends and spending money. I believe that this has certainly also allowed the youth to become more reflective and come back in touch with or begin new hobbies such as learning an instrument, creating art, and exercising. That's all, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Patricia, for that update. We'll be seeing you more. Thank you.
Thank you, Alma. This is Patricia Madronio reporting from Gold Coast, Australia. We live in interesting times.
And is there really a flattening of the curve in British Columbia? Joining us live is Jeanette Duazo. Jeanette?
Hello, Alma.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And hello to our viewers.
Okay, so what are your updates for us, Jeanette?
Yeah, so on April 6th, that was Monday, British Columbia reported numbers that were telling a slightly different story compared to Ontario and Quebec. So those two are other provinces here in Canada, where the number of confirmed coronavirus cases appears to have hit a possible turning point. There were 63 new cases over the space of 48 hours for a total of 1,266 cases. Ontario reported 309 new cases for a total of 43 647 cases, while in Quebec, there are 636 new cases for a total of more than 8,000. So on April 7, the following day, during the announcement of latest coronavirus cases in Canada, the Chief Public Health Officer of Canada, Dr. Theresa Tam, acknowledged that British Columbia's number appears to be trending in the right direction compared to the number from last week. She also said that while it is too early to tell, this is very encouraging. So British Columbia's Provincial Health Officer, Dr. Bonnie Henry, acknowledged that cases are actually slowing. So she attributed the slowing of cases to widespread testing and the restrictive measures prior to the March spring break. So as of today, April 8th, there were 45 new cases of COVID-19 in British Columbia for a total of 1,336 cases, 5 new deaths for a total of 48 COVID-19 related deaths in BC, and 838 people who tested positive for COVID-19 have recovered. And also today, April 8, British Columbia Premier John Horgan announced that people returning home from international travels, including the United States, must complete a self-isolation plan, which will be reviewed by provincial officials. The self-isolation plan can be submitted online or completed in person on arrival. So with that, starting April 10, this coming Friday, provincial government officials will review travelers' self-isolation plan at key points of entry. So Vancouver International Airport will be the only airport for inbound flights coming from outside of Canada. There are 4 land borders, though, crossing between British Columbia and USA, so that would be part of it. Provincial officials will be there reviewing for this traveler's self-isolation plan. So the directive is very specific in that if the traveler's plan is adequate but need to organize support like grocery drop-off or filling their prescriptions, they will be escorted to a provincial accommodation to begin self-isolation. They will be escorted home once all their supports are in place. So another one is if the plan is adequate, the travelers will proceed home to start their self-isolation. So, and another one, if the travelers do not have a plan at all, they will be escorted to a provincial accommodation where they can safely complete their 14-day self-isolation. So Premier Horgan said that the plan is a legal requirement as it reinforces the federal emergency order under the Quarantine Act, requiring people entering Canada to self-isolate for 14 days, which was implemented since March 25, 2020. So to ensure compliance with the order to self-isolate, the federal government uses its authority, enforceable by the RCMP or the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, that's the federal police, or the local police. So maximum penalties for breaking self-isolation orders include a fine up to $750,000 and or imprisonment for 6 months. Alma.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeanette. Always good to hear from you and good to see you again. Thank you for your time. Much appreciated, Jeanette. Always. Thank you.
Yes. Thanks for having me. Reporting live in Victoria, British Columbia. Jeanette Wazo will live in interesting times.
And that's the news for today. I'm Alma Angeles, and we live in interesting times.